who were laughing at me was only because of this, that I have invested this much amount, small amount, and I received that big amount. हो सकता है इस पे वो लोग हंस रहे हो. But you know what? Later on, I realized one day I found a news that this entire project has been patented, keeping the applicant IIT Kanpur and inventor by that investor of US. And after 3-4 years, I came to know that few robots for the industry has been made on same pattern in the collaboration of IIT Kanpur. So these are the few robots which were made for the industry perspective, because industry has not that much space at the working areas. Robots are supposed to move forward, reverse, but they don't have enough area to turn around using a steering system. And this robot, omnidirectional robot or Maclem robot, has a specialty to turn itself without turning its wheel, जैसा मैंने demonstration में दिखाया था. So this was something unique. This was something unique for them, and I realized, and that time I realized what the mistake I committed that time, what the blunder I committed that time. Right? So the person who invested, the person who purchased my entire project was very visionary, and I was happy at that time because I got a big amount against this project. So it was win-win situation for me also. But later on, I realized that in place of selling this technology, I could have done few more things in place of committing this mistake. First thing, before applying for any patent, मुझे ये पूरा का पूरा प्रोजेक्ट पब्लिक डोमेन में नहीं लाना था. You should avoid to bring anything in public domain without having any patent. That was the niceness of that investor. He has not stolen my this idea. He would have. लेकिन उसने ऐसा नहीं किया. He just purchased it. Right? So that was the first lesson. Without having patent, don't bring anything in the public domain. First thing. Second thing, the point you have the patent application number, you will be in the position to bargain for the technology transfer. Else, you can't. Third thing, in place of selling entire technology, you should go for the collaboration. I must have, उसके साथ हमें कुछ ऐसा डिस्कशन करना चाहिए था कि भाई आपके साथ हमें बनाना चाहता है, I want to make this project along with your company, right? Or I want to give the equity. इस टाइप की कुछ बात करना चाहिए था, because I was so unaware about these terms that time कि हमने ऐसी कोई बात नहीं की. So these are the lessons. Why I am telling these things? Because everyone is talking about the startups these days. Right? So what exactly startup mean? हमें उस टाइम भी स्टार्टअप ना शुरू करना चाहिए था, ये बात सच है, लेकिन क्यों करना चाहिए था? Why startups? Why startups? Is it all about the solving the problems? Is it all about the getting the right solution? No, it's not. Is it all about launching your product to the market? Again, it's not. Excuse me. Just a second. I'm sorry. Right. So it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of a lot of things. It's about getting the right problem. It's about getting the right solution for the problem. It's about the validation of a solution. It's about making a prototype on the base on this basis. It's about filing the patents, writing the publications, I mean, applying for the publications. It's about the commercialization. It's about making your own company. It's about all the things which I talked within 30 seconds, past 30 seconds. Second thing, here I'm talking about the startups. So you must be thinking that I am insisting everyone, all the participants, all the 60, 70 participants who are present here, to insist them to start their own venture. No, I'm not. I'm not doing this. I'm just talking about the startups. I'm just requesting you to start your own startup, not because you are going to establish your own venture in the market. No, being a student in first year, second year, or third year, this is the right time to start your own startup. But it's not compulsory to continue it in the future. You know, it gives lot of lessons, lot of experiences, which is all over needed in your placement also. Because once you go for the startup, you will be thinking about the problems. So you will be having a different vision how to get the right problems. Then you will be thinking about the solutions. I'll tell later that why these things are relevant for the students, right? So getting the right solution, you'll be thinking about the solution, you're thinking about the patents, you're thinking about publications, you're thinking about the commercialization, iteration, market validation, market launching, making your own company, working culture, right? A lot of things you'll be learning. Now, when you go for the interview, the interviewer is concerned about your practical hands, your approach to solve the problem, because industry se person jo aaya hua hai, he is not at all concerned with the formula which you have learned for years. He is concerned with your practical hands, with your approach to solve the problems. This is all he needs. This is all industries need. So once you go for the startup, you will learn few things. You will learn the approach to solve the problems. You will learn how to write the patents, how to work on the innovations, how to write the publications. And once you have these values on a resume, I bet no company in this world to nahi bolunga, but in this country exists who can eliminate you. Once you go in front of the interviewer having few patents with their name, having few publications with their name in the year of second or third or fourth, I mean second year में तो नहीं होता, but third year or in fourth year, किसी कंपनी के पास कुछ पूछने को रह नहीं जाता, because it is self-explanatory. If you are having a patent with a name, it means you have worked on any technical part, certainly. So there is no point to ask about anything. And if he asks anything, it means it will be all around your project or patent which you have already worked. And if you have honestly worked on this, so there will not be any point like a red flag for you. So this is the benefit. I'm not insisting you to start your own venture, but yes, I request all of you to go for the startup once, because this is win-to-win situation for all of you. You are not going to invest anything during your student life. You have time. You have to learn few courses. Along with these courses, you have to just learn how to implement these things in real world. You never know, if you could get right solution and right problem and right solution, you'll boom. Right? So इसलिए भी important है. Okay. So coming on the next point. So talking about the entrepreneurship, then immediately I'll switch on the legal steps. Talking about the entrepreneurships, I can divide in two parts. One is conventional enterprises, another is innovation-driven enterprises. So talking about the conventional enterprises, why conventional enterprises I will not talk in this entire lecture, because These are the family driven enterprises, or very conventional, like you are going to open your medical shop, you're going to open your confectionery shop. So these are the conventional enterprises. The revenue generation is either linear or gradually little than linear. लिटिल देन का मतलब समझते हो कि वो थोड़ा सा आपका रेवेन्यू जनरेशन आपका कम होगा. बट इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द इनोवेशन ड्रिवन एंटरप्राइजेस, देयर इज अ फेयर पॉसिबिलिटी initially you need to burn some fund, but by the time you will be earning exponentially. So I let me explain through a graph. SME, small and medium enterprise revenue graph looks like that. X-axis are time, y-axis is cash flow. So for some time it is linear. By the time it bends towards x-axis, right? But if you talk about the innovation driven enterprises, any enterprise which is having innovation, the graph would be exponential like this. Initially the graph which is below the x line is the fund burning pattern. Initially you need to burn the funds, but by the time exponentially you will have the revenue, exponential revenue. So sky is the limit, right? Then coming on the topic, incorporation of the companies, we'll talk about why incorporation is important. Because incorporation is a legal process, used to form the corporate companies. It is a legal process. It is a connection between your entity to the government. So that's why incorporation is important, because without any incorporation you're not authorized to sell anything. That's why incorporation is important. Now another thing, you must have heard about the proprietorship, solo proprietorship everywhere, because when I go in the market, most of the property dealers use these terms, proprietorship, solo proprietorship. What does it mean? हमारे लिए ये छोटे छोटे टर्म समझना बहुत जरूरी है. So what is proprietorship? Proprietorship means local registration of your company. It's a local registration, local incorporation of a company, right? Like उद्योग आधार registration. You must have heard about उद्योग आधार registration. उसमें क्या क्या चीजें needed होती हैं? उसमें कुछ एक documents needed होते हैं, your mobile number, email ID, the office you're going to use, the PAN card number, bank account number, FSC code, your name of your own business, a date when you want to start your own business, type of organization. So these few things are needed to incorporate your company locally in the authority, right? So it's called Udyog Aadhaar registration or local incorporation of your company. But the point is, see, the benefits of proprietorship is it is single ownership. You will be the only person who would be liable, who will be liable of all the things. No sharing of profit or loss. You'd be gaining all the profit if you start the proprietorship or solo proprietorship. Then it's one man army. You are investing in a business. You are responsible for the loss also. Unlimited liabilities you are owning. And you are not going into a big large formalities, legal formalities, right? So these are few, you can say, merits or demerits, but the one concern is your company name safe if you are registering with local administration or udyog aadhaar registration? The answer is big no. Your name is not safe, right? So how can you save your name? However, GST number you can avail. There is no issue. आप GST use कर सकते हैं. You can use the bills using GST. वो आप use कर सकते हैं, but your company name is not safe. Another thing, if I have started a company with my name, or let me have an example of electric vehicles. If I want to start an electric vehicle company, Mahip Electric Vehicles Private Limited or LLP sort of. Sorry, not private limited. I'm talking about the proprietorship, right? So local registration हमने करवा दिया of the electric vehicle with my name. Who will be the person who registered this company? Myself. Who will be the person started own venture? Myself. Who is the person establishing the offices and centers? Myself. Establishing the labs? Myself. Who will the person who will open the gate of the company? Myself. Who will the person who will be responsible to clean all the rooms or dusting purpose? Myself. Who would be the person who will be talking to the investors? Myself. Who will the person for the profit or loss? Myself. So this is sole proprietorship. I will be the only person responsible for all the components, all the things. Now, what if I am not physically fit? This is my one-person company. What if I am not physically fit? The entire process, the entire production of my company will stop immediately. And what if I'm no more in this world? Big question. What about those investors who have invested in my company? उनके पैसे का क्या होगा? This is a big question. That's why most of the investors do not like the one-person company. OPC, they don't like. Right? So these are few demerits of one-person company. Right. So I had been working as a freelancer after 2008, even before 2008 also. But I need to incorporate my company because freelancers को कोई investment नहीं मिलता है. Because I am the only person who is responsible for all the things. So एक person पे कोई भी investment नहीं करता. Organization पे investment मिलता है. Right? बड़ी companies पे, incorporation पे. Now, there are two terms. One is organization and other is institution. So activity should be independent of the person. This is the basic funda of the organization. Right? So organization is a mean of a group engaged to chasing a predefined task, goal. So this is person independent. While institution is an organization, it can be religious, academic, social, or professional purpose. So there is a slight difference in between organization and institution, but both things are person independent. So that's why investors do not like one person company, right? Now, MCA Incorporation for startups. Right? So MCA Incorporation we talk about. Here we will talk about a couple of registrations. One is LLP, Limited Liability Partnership, another is Private Limited. Right? So MCA registration, the basic benefit of MCA registration is your name is protected. But your name is protected only. Right? Again, you need to have your trademark. You need to apply for a trademark. If you're going to launch any brand, you need to protect your trademark. You have to apply for trademark or copyright. You have to apply for. Now, what is trademark or what is copyright? Trademark is a very special symbol, design or name that a company puts on the product, and you're not allowed to use that special symbol without permission of the company, even after permission of the company also. So this is the specialty of trademark. And what about the copyright? Copyright is a legal right. It may be any original work. It may be any song, any book, any computer programming, anything. But again, it can be used by the authorized person only. You can't make a copy of these things. Like we have a lot of examples. Harley Davidson logo is a trademark. Sound is a copyright, right? So Ministry of Corporate Affairs offers a couple of things. One is LLP, one is private limited. So other things are there, but I will talk about the startup perspectives. So these two things are very important. Now, why these things are important? Because you have to save your name. You have to protect your trademark. You have to protect your copyrights, right? So you have to expand your business, your product. So for this purpose, you need to go for MCA registration, right? So why we should go for MCA registration? However, MCA charges certain amount from us against this registration. So in the lieu of this data, we provide all the data to the government, to the MCA. In the lieu of the data, they provide us PF compliances. 6 labor law we get exempted. 3 environmental law, and we get a GST number. We can protect our rights. We can get the insurance. We can get the bank account and funding. So certain benefits are there to register ourselves under MCA incorporation. Now, the point is how to incorporate. Right. So coming on the next part, advantage of MCA incorporation, limited liability protection. If we are going for LLP, so it starts with minimum 2%. If one person is doing something wrong with or something illegal work, the effect of that person would not be imposed on the next one. Or any financial fraud, if he's doing, the liability would not transfer to another. So that's why it is called limited liability protection. Easy transferability, you can avail. Opening bank accounts, easily you can open up bank accounts. You can get the funding for a business. You can, meet the buyer criteria also, right? So these are few benefits of incorporation of a company. Now, how to incorporate? So 2 ways are there for the incorporation. One, you should go through any CA. Another thing, you can incorporate yourself, but it is quite difficult. It's not too easy to register your company. You have to search your company name first, and you will get an approval from the MCA. Within few days, they approve that this name is available or not. They tell immediately. So go for the approval first. Cost of the approval is around 200 rupees, government fees. Then apply for the digital signature certificate. Once name is approved, you should apply for the DSC. It costs around 1000 rupees. This is the government fees again. Then you should go for the incorporation of a company. Whatever you want, if you want LLP or you want private limited, you should go for that. This is free of cost. Then assurance of incorporation, you will get a certificate. Then you should submit your LLP agreement, and you should define the role and responsibility of the company, of the person. After incorporation, you are not authorized to do anything, to produce anything, to work in any field. You have to, define your role, in which field you are going to produce the products. If I'm saying I have done registration with name of Mahip Singh EV Private Limited, sort of. So I need to define myself that how many products I'm going to produce. If I'm saying that all the vehicle related products I'm going to produce, it will not work. Like if I'm going to produce engines also, if I'm going to produce motors also, batteries also, it will not work. Specifically, I need to specify that what type of electric vehicles and what the products I'm going to produce. So this is the last work we need to do, right? The role and responsibility I've talked about, in which you need to put the partner information, product information, your bank balance also, several certifications you need to put here, several licenses you need to put here, because there are standardization in this world, in the India also, ISO, ISI, BIS. So international standard, Indian standard, Bureau of Indian Standards. So there are few standards, because you can't produce anything, any product with, you know, with arbitrary dimensions. You have to follow the standards. Otherwise, infinite number of product ban jayenge, right? So if I talk about the nut bolts itself, so it has a standardization starting from 1 mm or whatever the minimum value is. So if I talk about the 6 mm and 7 mm nut bolts, you can't get any nut bolt which is in between 6 to 7. You can't produce it, and market would not need it, right? So you have to follow some standardization also, right? Another very important question arises here. Once you have idea in mind, and you have made a prototype, and you are very confident that my idea is going to work in the market, and you have got market response also, then how should you choose for the company incorporation, whether you should go for the LLP or for the private limited? Very confusing question, and most of the incubators ask this question कि हमें किस साइड जाना चाहिए. So there are few differences in between LLP and private limited. First thing is the compliance itself. So LLP has a very less compliance. However, private limited, you need to put more compliances. You need to follow more compliances. And for the LLP, there is no upper limit of the candidates, starting from 2 up to anything. But for the private limited, you can put 2 to 200 people. But private limited is considered more reliable than the LLP. And of course, it is having more compliances also. So my suggestion for all of you is, if your team is very reliable and you think that they are not going to, there will not be any mishappening or any difference in thoughts, other thing, and if you think that your product is really good for the market, because once you start thinking about the innovation, once you start going to the market, you have the feeling of the viability, commercial viability of a product. ये चलेगा मार्केट में कि नहीं चलेगा, वो हमें फील हो जाता है. But if you think that this will be good for the market, then go for the private limited. Go for the private limited, right? Else go for the LLP. कोई ऐसा बेनिफिट नहीं है जो कि आपको प्राइवेट लिमिटेड में मिलता हो, LLP में ना मिलता हो, right? Coming on the next point. Now we are coming on the startup recognition. How to recognize the startup? See, these two things are very different: incorporation and recognition. Incorporation means legally you have sent all the data to the government and you have synced now with the MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now, recognition of the startup is quite different. So there are a lot of definition of the startups. Every ministry or every industry has set up different startup definitions. People say having innovative idea and producing the products based on this would be called a startup. Someone says that 5 years of incorporation would be considered as a startup. So to avoid these complications, government has established a scheme which is called Dpi Id. So according to Dpi Id, Startup India Registration. So according to Startup India Registration, Startup India says that a startup would be considered if it is incorporated within 10 years. 10 साल के बाद वो स्टार्टअप में कंसिडर नहीं होगा. So this is the age, right? Age of the incorporation. Other thing, what type of incorporation is it? It should be product type or service type. Then turnover basis. They says if it is less than 10 crore per year, then it will be considered as a startup. Then what type of entity it is? Private limited hai, LLP hai, right? Then the most important part is innovation and scalability. If it is having any innovation or it is having any model of scalable, then it will be considered as startup, right? Now, if you are a startup, you need to recognize through the DPIIT, Department of Promotion of the Industry and Internal Taste. Earlier, it was known as Department of Industry Policy and Promotion, DIPP, right? So DPIIT, recognition is very important. You would get certain benefits when you register through DPIIT. Now, who can apply for the DPIIT? A very important question. So one thing, you should come under the criteria of a startup, first thing. Second thing, you should have some innovation in your solution, right? So what are the benefits you can get? In order to access the host of the tax benefits, you can get easy compliances. You can get fast, patent service, and lot of compliances you'll be exempted with, right? So because government considers that if you are a startup, you would not be having enough fund, you would not be having enough time. So that's why they have given several exemptions. Like for the bank account terms, if I talk about, you need to put minimum amount when you go for any account or saving, either saving either or current. But if you are DPIT recognized, you need not to put any minimum amount. You can work on a zero balance, right? So this is a very important thing. And you would get tax relaxation also, right? So for all the tax related things under section 56, under section 80 IAC, you can get the relaxation. Also, for all the compliances related things like labor law, you have to follow certain compliances also, like labor law compliances, environmental compliances. So a registered startup is allowed to self-certify their compliances. 6 labor law compliances are there, 3 environmental compliances are there. So you can self-certify these things. And this is allowed for a period of 5 years from date of incorporation. So this is another benefit, right? And for the patent terms, if I talk about, the fees of applying the patent is 1,600 these days. Earlier it was 8,000 rupees. But if you are DPIIT, you would get all the rebates up to 80%, right? And you will get a fast track patent filing, right? And you are allowed to participate in any public procurement if you're DPIIT. There is no eligibility condition of a prior turnover or a demonstration of an experience or any security you need to put. You need not to do anything. You are eligible to participate in any public procurement. So this is another benefit of DPIIT. So I suggest all of you to go for the DPIIT, right? So far we have talked about how to go for the startup, why to go for the startup, first thing. Second thing, how to go for the startup. Third thing, what are the legality involved, how to register your startup. And I suggested all of you to go for the startup once in the duration of your 4 years of engineering to get a lot of information and to enrich your resume, not necessarily for the starting your own venture, but for your placement also. It is very important. right? So these things we talked about till now. सो रहे हो जगे हो सारे लोग?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll talk about ethics of the startups. So ethics of the startup, if I talk about, I would, divide it into 4 parts. You have to be loyal to the investors. You have to be loyal to the government. You have to be loyal to the customers, and the quality product is another thing, right? So 4 parts. अब इनके 4 parts के बहुत सारे सब parts बन सकते हैं, because investor is the core part of a startup. If you want to expand your business, you need investors. Although grants and seed fundings are available, but for huge investment, you need to go for the investors, right? And loyal to the government, you need to put, all the tax related things. However, the taxation, all the tax related compliance is not that much easy in the India. So you need to hire a CE also for your work, but you have to be loyal for the government also. You need to give the true information. You need to give the true information about your products, right? So बहुत सारे जगहों पे हमने देखा होगा कि प्रोडक्ट्स में होता कुछ है, हम लिख कुछ देते हैं उस पे. This is unethical. This is unethical. True information should be written upon that, right? Then the quality product as a reasonable price. Until it's competitive or reasonable price, you can't run for long, right? Now, coming on the next part, how to start a startup. So I think it's around 1 hour. Monica, you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there, sir.
Okay, so we will be covering it within 5 minutes now, and 5 मिनट में खत्म करते हैं पूरा, right?
Okay, sir.
फिर हम क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन शुरू करेंगे. So very brief introduction about how to start up, जो हमने सबसे पहले डिस्कशन किया था. So based on couple of things, one thing is your area of interest. If you are interested in a particular field, like I'm very much interested in the field of robotics. I'm very much interested in the field of electric vehicles, right? So if there is any area of my interest, we should have the pinpoint understanding of the area. So define your hobby. अगर interest है उसमें hobby भी होगी. Define your hobby. Is it commercially, and put the commercial angle with it, because innovation का मतलब तभी निकलता है जब इन्वेंशन के साथ हम कमर्शलाइजेशन को भी ऐड करते हैं, right? So what is your area of interest? Define it. Have pinpoint understanding about that particular part. If I'm saying that I'm very much interested in the electric vehicles, I should have all the information about the batteries, the type of batteries available, right? The type of motors available, controllers available, and all the accessories which are needed to make an electric vehicle. Deep information about everything. Like, I found a pain point in the area of electric vehicles, that I found that the two-wheelers available within range of 50,000 are not having much range or much acceleration. So that was my finding when I gone through number of research papers, and so many visits to the concerned places. I found this problem. Then we made acceleration enhancer, which was patented in 2019, which was all about the enhancing acceleration whenever needed, the enhancing mileage whenever needed. So कभी innovation की talk में हम इन सब चीजों की बात करेंगे. But here we are talking about how to start up. So this is the area of interest. Now the solution for the existing problem. I'm going somewhere, I found a problem that this is a real problem. People are suffering with this. Society is suffering from this. Industry is suffering from this. Then we should think about this problem, and then we should think about solution. Right? So getting a right problem is itself getting the solution. 50% of the solution. But once Albert Einstein said that if I'm given 60 minutes to solve any problem, so 55 minutes I would invest to think about the problem and other 5 minutes to get the solutions. So getting the right problem is very important. And for the startup perspective, it becomes more important. बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स होते हैं जो कि सही प्रॉब्लम्स पे काम नहीं करते और उनको बहुत बाद में रियलाइज होता है. सो हियर द मेंटर्स कम इन एक्शन. अगर सही मेंटरिंग आपकी है तो आप सही सोल्यूशन, सही प्रॉब्लम के साथ आगे बढ़ेंगे. लेकिन स्टार्टअप्स के फेल होने का एक बहुत बड़ा रीजन ये है, बिकॉज दे डू नॉट मूव विद द राइट सॉल्यूशन, राइट प्रॉब्लम्स. प्रॉब्लम है ही नहीं है जिसके साथ वो आगे बढ़ते हैं. राइट? So based on the solution of the existing problem is another thing, because we had visited a very short example. We had visited in the industry somewhere in Greater Noida, and we found that the machining एक process होता है. Machining is all about the cutting of metals in any term. It may be grinding, it may be lathe operation, it may be turning, it may be drilling, anything. So while making this operation, we need to cool the entire system, the tool as well as the workpiece, in order to get good surface finish and good tool life. So the fluid which is being used from decades to make this entire system cool is not good for the soil perspective. It is very harmful. It's make the soil unfertile. After 3-4 times it can be reused, but when it is damped, it makes unfertile. So this was the pain point. Then we worked on minimum quantity lubrication. And specifically, minimum quantity lubrication is an old concept. Specifically, we worked on the proportional minimum quantity lubrication, cutting fluid optimizer. We made a project with name of cutting fluid optimizer. So that's the example of existing problems का solution. हम चलते चलते हमें प्रॉब्लम मिल गई, हमने उसका सोल्यूशन ढूंढ लिया. सो एक स्टार्टअप इसके बेसिस पे भी आप शुरू कर सकते हो. तो दो चीजों के बारे में बात की. एक तो आपका एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट जिस फील्ड में है, गो फॉर द पब्लिकेशंस, गो फॉर द people who has written a lot of problems in this particular field. You can get any real problem, you can validate that problem, you can bring the solution, you can put the mentors on board to validate those solutions, or you can visit to the concerned places to validate it. You can make a prototype and test it in the market. One part is the area of interest. Another part is you get the problem around you. And you get the solution. So ये दो टाइप्स होते हैं. ठीक है, अब इसको मैं बहुत आगे नहीं बढ़ाते हुए अब इसको क्विकली मैं खत्म करता हूं. So how to start? Define the problem, bring the solution, and just think one point. Is your solution, why your solution will be appreciated in the market? Why your solution will be appreciated in the market? Right? So if you get the reason, then go for the startup. And another thing, if required, you should write your entire business plan on a single page. Same time, if needed, you can expand your business plan on 100 pages also. If you are able to do this, then go for the startup. हॉबीज सबकी होती हैं, सब लिखते भी होंगे, सब लिखते भी होंगे। आप जब लिखते हो तो उसको आप कितना कमर्शलाइज कर सकते हो उस हॉबी को, इस चीज को ध्यान में रखते हुए आप लिखो चीजों को, राइट। सो आप अपने बिजनेस प्लान का एक्सटेंशन कर सकते हो अगर एक पेज में और 100 पेज में भी immediately, then you should go for the startup. It means you have clarity in your mind what exactly you're going to do, right? Which segment of the gentry is going to use it? Another thing, another big thing to think about. Which type of gentry? Most of the incubators come to us and say that we are going to make the change in the road lights. We are going to make the change in the railways. So my suggestion is avoid those things which need to be incorporated with the help of government. Try something which can give you immediate revenue. अब जब B2G की बात करते हैं तो वो काफी टफ होता है, इतना आसान नहीं है, उसके लिए बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं जिसके थ्रू हमें जाना पड़ता है, right? So you should avoid these things, right? So it's important to know what type of gentry is going to use it. So if I talk about the electric vehicles, I know all the people who are adult, who are above 18 or slightly less than 18 also, till their old age are going to use this solution, this product, right? And if I talk about specifically acceleration enhancer, that would be popular among the youngs, starting from 18 to 40, right? Then what is your potential market, where you're going to sell it? You should know about the demography, you should know about the geological location of your market, right? Then what are the constraints? If I talk about the electric vehicles, the battery is the constraint, because we are completely dependent on different countries, specifically on China for the batteries, like. Then another, tax is the constraint. There is a big tax when we import something. Import duties are huge. Then social framework, legal environment, then political environment. You know why Tata shifted from the Singur? Because of the political reasons only. But they shifted to the Gujarat because their taxation is quite easy, incorporation is quite easy, there is a big support of the government, right? So these are the few things you have to think about, and you have to think before you start your startup, right? I think we should wind up here. And it was all about the legality, how to start the startup, legal ethical steps, and few things, few complications, and few points to be remembered before going for the startup. And I request all of you to go for the startup once during your engineering cycle. Go for the startup once. Not compulsory that you have to start your own venture, but for enriching your resume, you should go for the startup once, right? So stopping here. Any question from any candidate?
Sir,
Sir,
thank you. Sir.
hello.
Yes, Akash. Ask, please ask.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please,
Sir,
please.
sir, as you said that when we think about the problem, and we should to know that our problem is the unique, so have unique solution. Means our solution is the unique solution. How can we know that its solution is unique? Because every person thinks that their solution is unique, but when they go in the market and they see research, they fails and they found out that their solution is not a unique.
Right. So definition of uniqueness doesn't come from ourselves, right? It depends on the market. आप जब market में जाते हो, when you go in the market, when you interact with concerned people, right? They define that your solution is unique or not. यूनिकनेस आप कैसे पता करते हो किसी भी चीज की? फर्स्ट थिंग, यू गो फॉर द प्राइमरी रिसर्च और सेकेंडरी रिसर्च. सेकेंडरी रिसर्च तो खैर हमारी रिसर्च होगी. यू गो फॉर द प्राइमरी रिसर्च. ऑल द available data on the internet, all the available data in the patents or publications ensure that your solution is unique or replica of any work which has done, which has which was in the past. Someone has already done it. First thing. Second thing, when you go in the market, people tell you that this thing is available or not based on your based on your technique.
Yes, sir.
And specifically, if you talk about any product or any idea, you can discuss me personally कि मेरे पास ये आइडिया है, ये यूनिक है कि नहीं, ये जानना हमें.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Any other question?
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have a question. As
Yes,
you
sir.
have said that in the field of electric vehicles, the main problem is the energy storage capacity of batteries. So, sir, the to increase the battery storage capacity of a battery is more about R&D. So, what are the opportunities for a college going student? Because field like battery storage capacity and nowadays semiconductor shortage is a huge problem. So, sir, what are the opportunities in these problems for college going students?
So, Shivamji, opportunities are always huge in the field of electric vehicles, in the field of battery manufacturing. So far, there is no any manufacturing plant here. Right. It all depends on the cobalt, and cobalt usually come from the Africa, and all the mines in the Africa are under the China, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
they have a lease of 99 years for all the upon all the mines in Africa, because they are visionary. So that was another thing I was talking about. Now you're talking what are the opportunities in this field. So batteries and storage of the energy is a major concern in the electric vehicles. However, there are certain modifications being done in the batteries. Primarily, we were working on the lead acid batteries, then we came on the lithium ion, then we came lithium ferrophosphate, then lithium polymer, and still we have been working in this particular field to enhance the density of the batteries, right? But globally, if seen, the battery manufacturing is not into the hands of India or any other country. We are dependent on the China for the battery, right? However, we can open our own plant in India for the manufacturing purpose, but most of the industries, what they are doing, they are outsourcing the components from different countries and they are just assembling it into India because they are getting more revenue in doing that in place of having own industry. उनको पता है इंडस्ट्री लगाने में हमारा फायदा नहीं होगा, right? So
Yes.
opportunity to hai, and government has several schemes. If you are going for the battery manufacturing, one is being established in the Gujarat itself with the help of Tata, sorry, Adani. Government is having a lot of schemes if you're going in the field of battery manufacturing. But if you're going in the field of battery assembling, तो उसके लिए कोई support अभी नहीं है हाल फिलहाल. But yes, opportunities are you know अभी क्या है कि बैटरी का अलग अलग सेगमेंट है. If you are going in the R&D part of the batteries, still government would support you. A lot of schemes are there available for R&D also. If you are going for the manufacturing, उसके लिए भी बहुत सारा है, पर assembling के लिए अभी कुछ नहीं है. Right.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else, please? मतलब आप ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे तो हमें लगेगा कि कुछ तो आप लोगों का सुनना अच्छा रहा.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Srishti Gupta. Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. I have a question.
बिल्कुल बताओ.
Sir, how would we cope up with our capabilities and capacities as we have some hidden capacities we came to know at the time of investment, but we have fear of it that should we have to apply it or not, as our company be on risk at that time due to that particular decision.
मेरे को फिर से समझाओ अपना क्वेश्चन.
सर हमारे पास कुछ हिडन कैपेसिटी या कैपेबिलिटीज रहती है सर, जैसे कि हमारी कंपनी है तो हम अकेले कंपनी तो फॉर्म करते नहीं है, हमारी टीम होगी, बट एक टीम लीडर होता है, तो सर टीम लीडर को पर्टिकुलर डिसीजन लेना होता है, तो सर इसमें ये हमारे पास फियर भी रहता है पर्टिकुलर डिसीजन से हमारी जो कंपनी है वो रिस्क पे भी हो सकती है और फिर वो प्रॉफिट में भी जा सकती है, तो सर इस फियर ऑफ माइंड से हम लोग कैसे कोप अप कर सकते हैं?
आप क्या करते हो सृष्टि अभी?
सर आई एम एन इंजीनियरिंग स्टूडेंट currently
year?
studying BTech second year.
You are in BTech second year, which branch?
Information technology branch.
IT से कर रहे हो आप, right? So if you are going to start your own venture in second year or third year itself, what would be your investment, not only in the terms of the financials, but what do you think, what would be your investment, what you're going to invest?
सर
अगर आप अपना बिजनेस शुरू करते हो तो आप क्या इन्वेस्ट करोगे? आप अपना टाइम इन्वेस्ट करोगे खाली, राइट?
यस सर.
Other financial investment are taken care by your organization or by our university or by government. You need not to invest even a single penny from your pocket if you are going for any startup, right? So what all we need is your brain and your time and your capability only. So दो टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आपने पूछे. वन थिंग, हाउ टू नो अबाउट आवर कैपेबिलिटी. सेकंड थिंग, द रिस्क इन्वॉल्व्ड इन एनी बिजनेस, हाउ टू ओवरकम दिस. एम आई राइट?
यस सर.
तो ये कैपेबिलिटीज को जानने वाला जो सिस्टम है वो बहुत पुराना है. कैपेबिलिटीज को नहीं जानने वाली जो प्रॉब्लम है बहुत पुरानी है. बजरंग बली को भी अपनी कैपेबिलिटी का अंदाजा नहीं था. यू नो दिस स्टोरी और नॉट?
यस सर.
उनको याद दिलाना पड़ा था कि आपके अंदर ये कैपेबिलिटीज है. यू कैन डू इट. You can do it. You're successfully completing your engineering. Almost couple of years you have completed successfully. Then why you think that you do not have any capability? The brain, the amount of brain by the nature is equal for everyone. Depends how much percentage we use. तो आपके अंदर कैपेबिलिटीज हैं, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. आप उसको यूज कैसे करते हो? अब यूज करने के टूल्स बहुत सारे हो सकते हैं. अब हो सकता है हमारी लैब में आओ तो आपको बहुत सारी चीजें वहां पे चलती हुई दिखें जहां से आपको कुछ आइडिया हो सकता है. क्लिक करें. आप कंसर्न प्लेसेस पे जाओ. व्हाई आई ऑलवेज रिकमेंड टू पार्टिसिपेट इन डिफरेंट IITs और डिफरेंट कॉम्पिटिशंस वर्ल्ड वाइड, और स्पेशली इन द इंडिया लेवल, स्पेशली इन IITs. आई ऑलवेज रिकमेंड दिस ओनली बिकॉज दुनिया में क्या चल रहा है, एग्जीबिशंस वहां पे होते हैं, बहुत सारी नई नई टेक्निक्स वहां पे देखने को मिलती हैं, एंड वी गेट लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन, वी गेट लॉट ऑफ इनोवेटिव आइडियाज टू वॉच सच प्लेसेस एंड सच टेक्निक्स.
यस सर.
सो दीज आर द टूल्स बहुत सारे हो सकते हैं. सेल्फ असेसमेंट, सेल्फ थिंकिंग इज अनदर टूल. Going through research papers is another tool. Visiting concerned places another tool. Industries, labs visit करना ये भी एक tool है. Group discussion is a tool. तो आप इन सब चीजों से आपको पता चल जाएगा कि आपके अंदर कुछ कैपेबिलिटी है कि नहीं है. आई एम श्योर कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता किसी अंदर कैपेबिलिटी ना हो. आप सक्सेसफुली इतना 2 साल आप कंप्लीट कर लियो आप इंजीनियरिंग का, तो कैपेबिलिटीज तो है. सेकेंड थिंग, risk involved in any business, because you are not investing anything जिसमें कुछ फाइनेंशियल लॉस हो आपका. See, completing 4-year degree of engineering is not that much tough task. बहुत आसान है. We all know कि लास्ट नाइट की पढ़ाई से कितना फर्क पड़ता है मार्क्स पे. Know the fact? तो
Yes,
अगर
sir.
लास्ट नाइट की पढ़ाई से हम 50% मार्क्स जस्ट 50% मार्क्स लेके आ सकते हैं, तो हम अगर 20 दिन की पढ़ाई कर लें तो उसमें तो हमारे बड़े अच्छे मार्क्स आ जाएंगे। तो बाकी के टाइम का, हमें 6 महीने के टाइम का क्या करना है? So just think about this. Just invest your time for the startup, and financially, your institute, your organization, our university, and entire ecosystem, including the government, will support you. तो तुम्हारे पास खोने के लिए तो कुछ है ही नहीं है, तुम्हें सिर्फ पाना पाना है. And second thing, there is nothing like failure. It's the experience. It's a good experience. इन्वेस्टर हर 20 स्टार्टअप में एक स्टार्टअप फेल होता, सॉरी, हर 19 स्टार्टअप फेल होता है, एक सक्सेसफुल होता है, राइट? और अगर फेल भी होते हो, तो मैंने शुरू में यही बताया कि अगर आप फेल भी होते हो, यू विल गेट लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टू ऐड इन योर प्रोफाइल, इन योर रेज्यूमे, दैट आई हैव स्टार्टेड, आई हैव इनकॉर्पोरेटेड अ कंपनी, आई हैव वर्कड ऑन दिस आइडिया, I have made a prototype, I had applied for the patent, I have applied for the publications, and I have an approach to solve the problem effectively, and I know how to manage the team. I know the team working culture. So these are few key points which are strictly needed for any organization when you go for the interview. तो आपके लिए win situation, आपके लिए तो कुछ खोने जैसा है ही नहीं इसमें. That's why I always suggest everyone to go for the startup once. Go for the innovative project working.
Sir, matlab the thing is ki how do we use the opportunities in a fruitful manner?
I'm sorry?
Sir, the thing is ki how do we use the opportunity?
Exactly. So this is the opportunity, and this is the right time when everyone is supporting you, your organization is supporting, government is supporting, our university is supporting, पूरा यूनिवर्स आपको सपोर्ट कर रहा है आज की डेट में, सब कोई आपको सपोर्ट कर रहा है. एंड इस टाइम अगर आप अपॉर्चुनिटी को ग्रैब नहीं कर सकते तो आपके लिए बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा, क्योंकि सैचुरेशन आएगा आने वाले टाइम पे. ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें चलने लग जाएंगी, गवर्नमेंट भी फिर फंड देना बंद कर देगी. वी आर वेरी सून वी आर गोइंग टू लॉन्च आवर एक्सेलरेशन प्रोग्राम. सो वंस एक्सेलरेशन प्रोग्राम इज बीइंग लॉन्च, तो स्टार्टअप वाला प्रोग्राम सारा बंद हो जाएगा हमारा, राइट? सो ये राइट टाइम है बिल्कुल अभी शुरू करने का. एंड यू हैव वेरी राइट टाइम टू स्टार्ट योर ओन स्टार्टअप, बिकॉज यू आर इन सेकेंड ईयर, यू हैव अनदर 2 years, राइट?
Yes,
सो
sir.
अगर कुछ अच्छा आप करते हो, that would be very good, that would be very good, you will grow exponentially. कोई जॉब आपको इतना पैसा नहीं दे सकती है. बट अगर आप नहीं भी करते हो, तो आपको बाकी सबसे बढ़िया जॉब मिलना तय है, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. तो विन टू विन सिचुएशन है.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
राइट? प्लीज नेक्स्ट.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, like when we see EV startups, so from outside they all almost look like same. If you look 2-wheeler EV startups, so they all are doing almost same things. So, sir, for a college-going student, if anyone wants to innovate in those EVs, so he or she the inside technology of those electric vehicles. So, sir, is there any scheme of funding that AKTU provides to the students for going to like IITs and around there? Like for going IITs or any incubation center or any industry, there needs a fees or some kind of investment. So, is there any scheme for
So visiting on the concerned places would always benefit you. So it is all about your benefit, first thing.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm sure that management and Professor SP Shukla sir वहाँ के director हैं, तो he's very visionary person. I'm sure कि he would be having some scheme. Point is, you should put your point in front of your respected director sir. एंड हम भी उनको एक बार बोलेंगे इस चीज के लिए, सर ऐसी चीजों को प्रमोट करने के लिए आप, क्योंकि ये इंस्टीट्यूट लेवल पे, ये फंडिंग इंस्टीट्यूट लेवल, मोस्ट ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूट सपोर्ट फॉर दीज थिंग्स, फॉर विजिटिंग एट कंसर्न प्लेसेस, बट नॉट 100%.
Yes, sir.
यूजुअली 50% का शेयरिंग होती है उसमें, 50% फ्रॉम योर साइड, 50% फ्रॉम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन साइड, राइट? सो इस टाइप की चीजें होती हैं, आई एम श्योर वहां भी होगा, आप एक बार पता करिए जाके पहले, फिर इसके बारे में हम बात करते हैं, राइट?
Yes, sir.
And for the electric vehicle startup, if you want go for the electric vehicle startups, there are a lot of opportunities, because most of the two wheelers being sold in Indian market are not having much speed. They are having, I mean, there is a constraint of having less than 40 kilometer per hour speed. But if you can make something which can have 100 or 120 speed, that would be really remarkable. There are very few companies who have launched their bikes having such a speed, but they are at very high cost,
Yes, sir.
right? वो 3 लाख 3.5 लाख के ऊपर की हैं. By some permutation combination, if you can bring any technology in low cost to benefit the youth in the terms of speed, that would be really, really good job, right? तो इसके
Yes,
बारे
sir.
में आप सोचो, जैसे हमने बोला ना कि हमने एक्सेलरेशन एनहेंसर इन्वेंट किया, सो उस तरह से आप भी कुछ सोचो कि आप किस तरह से कर सकते हो इसको,
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
राइट? या एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? आप लोग मैक्सिमम क्वेश्चंस पूछिए, ये हमारी टीम है, मतलब मैं अलग नहीं हूँ, हमारी पूरी टीम जो आईआईसी वहां का देख रही है, जो इनोवेशन देख रही है, मोनिका जी या शिवांश ओझा जी या डायरेक्टर सर, हम सब अलग नहीं, हम सब एक टीम है. आपके अंदर जो भी कुछ हो आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं. वी आर हेयर टू सपोर्ट यू फ्रॉम इनोवेशन हब.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else with their queries? They may ask to the sir, or they are supposed to put the question in the comment section.
So if there is no more questions, I request Monica to wind up the session now. And if any candidate is having any question, he or she can put in the chat box, or they can contact me later on, right?
Yes, sir.
So, sir, before formally proposing the vote of thanks, I would like to remark that this session was truly amazing. Your words and experience were really very enlightening and motivating for all of us. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution to those who worked really hard to make this event possible. I would like to thank our today's speaker for taking out his time and sharing his expression to motivate and guide the students. I would like to take this opportunity to express my deep regards to our institution's Innovation Council President Dr. Siddharth Arjaria sir, Vice President Mr. Abhijit Singh sir, and Convener of Institution's Innovation Council, respected Mr. Deep Singh Thakur sir, for constantly encouraging us. Moreover, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the organizing team and organizing members for making the event successful. I would further extend my thanks to all the participants to be here with us and made this event more interactive. Once again, I thank you all for being here with us. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Srishti, and congratulations to all the member involved in IIC and actively doing all the events, successfully doing all the events. In front or in back, they are supporting. So वो सभी के सभी बधाई के पात्र हैं, and thank you very much for giving me opportunity to put my views on this topic, right? And in future we will be connected with each other and keep on spreading the culture of innovation. This is expected from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.